So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Oh boy. So it would appear the errant knight of our era, Sir Jordan Peterson, is about to do battle once more. He's scoured up his old suit of armour, he's mounted his emaciated old nag, and he's about to wade into unequal combat with the giants that live in his head. Giants like the basement-dwelling troll demons! And, verbs like believe.
I'm going to be your worst nightmare.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
Now, for those of you who've been watching this channel long enough, you'll probably know that I have a bit of a soft spot for Jordan Peterson. In fact, I'd go further than that. When I first heard about Jordan Peterson back in 2017 on an episode of the H3 podcast, funnily enough, that's since been memory hold.
I think he's just an interesting guy with a lot of insight, so.
As H3, Ethan and Ela Klein have certainly lost their marbles somewhat in the years since then. But anyway, that was the first time I was introduced to Jordan Peterson back in 2017 on the H3 podcast. And I was blown away by the stuff he was saying, the stuff he was talking about, and the way he was able to explain it, the way he articulated things.
Rat is this. The rats are all like this. The rat goes like this. So the rat's like this. The normal rat is like this.
And if you go back and watch podcasts from that time, around 2017, 18, 19, the way hosts would sort of be transfixed by everything he was saying.
Are we doomed to just possess these characteristics that we hate about ourselves, even if we're self-aware of it? How do you address these issues of self-improvement?
Okay, well, people get more conscientious and less neurotic and more agreeable as they get older. So you could think about that perhaps as the development of wisdom.
It's almost become a cliche now about tidy your room, make your bed. But the things he was saying back then, nobody was saying. You know, he was talking about fairy tales and explaining their deeper meaning. And this is probably stuff that people have known in intellectual circles for, I don't know, hundreds of years. I've got no idea. But it wasn't something that was widely available back then. It was so engaging. It was so interesting. However, it does feel that over the last couple of years, Jordan Peterson's podcast appearances and shows that he does, they're increasingly becoming a struggle to get through.
Dragon fight to
Well, how many dragons have you overcome in your life?
I'm not interested in dragons. I'm interested in reality.
Okay, so I read a book a while back that described the biological reality of the dragon. Say, well, there's no such thing as a dragon. It's like, okay, is there such a thing as a predator?
Of course.
Well, that's a meta category.
There just definitely seems to be quite a big difference between the Jordan Peterson now and the Jordan Peterson of about 4 years ago, you know, pre his benzodiazepine dependency arc, the 2-year sabbatical he spent in the padded cells of Moscow's loony bins. I don't think, look, and God forbid I ever go through something like that. It's not something to laugh about. What I mean is it just, it really seems to have changed him. And I don't think he's mad now or something like that. I think he's just become obsessed with minutiae and defining words and being precise. Whereas before he just seemed more open and able to engage with people. Now he's going crazy over whether dragons are real or not.
What's the category of predator? Bear, eagle, if you're a primate. Fire? Is fire a predator?
No.
Well, it's complicated because a fire kills you.
Well, is fire a predator? No. I just think, I think Richard Dawkins said it best. he's kind of drunk on symbolism. I'm sure it all makes sense in his head, but he's getting to be a little bit Russell Crowe, Beautiful Mind vibe, you know? He'll be following pigeons round with a notebook.
So is there a worse predator than serpentine, flying, fire-breathing reptile? Is that not the imagistic equivalent of predator? So in what way, if predator is real, in what way isn't dragon real?
I don't know why you say dragon. I mean, we have lions, we have tigers, we have saber-tooth.
Right, but why not abstract?
So a dragon is a pictorial representation of the abstracted concept of a predator.
Yes.
As you say, we already have the term predator, and so it might be useful in art, in narrative, but when you say the biology of a dragon, you must understand how that can be misleading.
I don't think the category of dragon is any less valid than the category of lion.
Any less biological?
Well, it depends on your level of analysis.
You would say that lions are an instantiation of this bracket term of predator.
I would also say...
Would you therefore say that a lion is an instantiation of the bracket term of dragon?
Yes.
So you would say that a lion is basically a dragon? Yes! See, I just don't know how useful this stuff is anymore, because it's got to a point where it's so abstract and it's almost esoteric. When he's speaking, it's so confusing now that I just don't know how useful it is to anyone in the real world anymore. It's got to the point where people who are probably far less intelligent than Jordan Peterson can make him sound stupid.
So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say you
circular?
believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if
What's
you
a
believe
belief?
something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
See, that's a really good example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. I think the Jordan Peterson of a couple of years ago would have had enough self-awareness to understand that not every human being has sat down for the last 50 years and thought about the precise meaning of every syllable they utter, right? You cannot sit down and have a conversation with somebody you don't even know and expect it every single time to be like a freaking ayahuasca trip to the outer reaches of human understanding. Okay? Because it ends up making you look more stupid, or at least less relatable, less intelligible than the guy you've got sat in front of you.
Okay. So then,
How would you define belief? Something you say?
Can I explain? Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't
life?
be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
Oh, God, the intellectual shadow boxing championship continues. Just so that you understand the format of this show that you're watching, this Jubilee in the round thing. I can't remember what it's called, but they get one expert and they get a load of people with opposing opinions to that expert to sit down and have these mini debates with the expert. In this case, Jordan Peterson is the Christian against the 20 atheists, right? And it's not that they can't even get him to commit to saying that he believes in any of the doctrines of Christianity. It's that they can't even pin him down on what the word believe means. It's so frustrating. And I swear, Jordan Peterson wasn't like this 5 years ago.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them,
example.
would you lie to like the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation
you
to begin
lie?
with. It's a hypothetical.
Uh-oh. I don't think you should be so vague about that question, Jordan. The Daily Wire are watching.
And it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just
Yes,
asking if
you
you ate
are.
it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical.
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation.
Talk about victim blaming. Look, Jordan can make things sound as intellectual and abstract as he likes, but what he just said there was about as intellectual as some dickhead down the pub who, when you're explaining to him, look, I had to give him my wallet because he had a knife, he was going to stab me. And he would, the guy might say something like, well, it's really a question of situational awareness, danger, risk assessment. You allowed yourself to be vulnerable. Look, it's a hypothetical. Would you squeal on the Jews?
By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position? Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me?
What the fuck? I don't mean to stray off topic, and I won't go on about this for too long, but that's really unhygienic. That is crazy. That is, that's Diogenes syndrome, or whatever you call it. That's an unhealthy attachment. It's like people who hoard stuff. You know, when you start to look like an abandoned sheep. That's crazy. Someone needs to shear her. Anyway.
Me asking this question, it's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a basic
Yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where
like
you
if you-
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why
anti-fascist?
are you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not what
you
truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about
you're-
truth.
Yeah, this guy's expression pretty much sums up the way I feel. Look, I'm sure Jordan Peterson, in his mind, everything he's saying has some deep philosophical meaning. But he's starting to sound like Plato, for God's sake. It's got to the point where he's talking to Richard Dawkins about, well, are dragons real? It's like, no, not to Richard Dawkins, right? Your strong point, Jordan, was your clarity, the way you made sense of things. And now it just feels like nothing makes sense anymore. What is the point of it being so intellectual, of being so intelligent, if nobody understands what you're talking about? At some point, you are going to turn into Plato. You're going to want to control the mob, right? You're going to want to put us all on farms and breed us or something, as I understand was Plato's plan.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device.
Oh, Christ. Look, the guy is struggling with hypotheticals and words like believe. Please don't mention time machines. Well, maybe I do have a time machine. I'll manifest it with my brain.
We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity. with that
imagine
respect.
that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So
Right.
you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance, even though you like lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly that's
without
not what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to
I
die for it.
said-
You were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How's
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that ended pretty amicably, but this next guy, not so much.
Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, Prioritize and sacrifice for.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay, do Catholics attend to Mary?
Well, yes.
Okay, so do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But
place.
you would put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back.
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to.
Attend to.
Prioritize.
Do
And
Catholics
sacrifice for.
What do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't add that to my definition.
You understand?
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
Okay, now you're adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition...
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you
just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure.
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
Somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
So, to be fair, yeah, the kid is being a bit of a smartass, but I think in a sort of funny, tongue-in-cheek, entertaining kind of way. But I think they did come there under the impression that they had to debate in a very rapid format against a Christian, right? They're there as the atheists, and they can't pin him down on anything. All right, he won't agree to any of the Catholic or Christian doctrines. He won't say what he believes. So they're trying to show how there are contradictions in the doctrines. And he's like, well, I don't really believe in it. This isn't a podcast. This isn't like a 3-hour discussion. They can't go into the deep meanings, the semantics of every goddamn word that they utter.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a Christian or you're not.
I won't talk to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right, you're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Yeah, so I thought those clips were pretty funny myself, and I wish Jordan Peterson wasn't so sort of bitter and, I don't know what the word is exactly now, defensive. He never used to be like that. He used to keep his cool. He used to be engaging and interesting. I used to love listening to his lectures about fairy tales, and even the Bible lecture series was pretty interesting, and, talking about his studies into the effects of alcohol and, bringing up children and rats and all that kind of thing. It was all fascinating stuff. You go back and watch him a few years ago and the way he kept his cool under pressure in interviews with Kathy Newman, the classic one on Channel 4 in the UK, and lots of others that I saw him in. It's understandable, I guess. He is so defensive, probably partly from all of the health stuff that he's been through, but also, I guess, the feeling that for many years the legacy media were deliberately trying to misrepresent him. But I don't know. I think he has to kind of realize that we're past that culturally. I mean, anyone who's got like a big following online now is not desperately waiting to get invited on by Channel 4 News in the UK. Nobody even gives a shit. Nobody watches that stuff anymore. Nobody cares if you get on the BBC now. It's like, what, your mum might care. It's over. That stuff is in the past. Okay, he needs to chill out. These kids were pretty fun, happy-go-lucky, atheist kids. And I think he could have done more to engage with them a little bit. He could have been a bit more fun, like when he was back in the H3 podcast days. Anyway, that's all I've got time for in tonight's video, I think. It's been a pretty long one. If you've enjoyed the video, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What the hell are you still doing here if you haven't? And let me know what you thought in the comments. Follow me on X, follow me on Instagram to know when I bring out a new video. If you want to get some access to some exclusive videos and help out with the channel even further, then my Patreon link is also under this video. And nothing else. I'll see you in the next one.
It will get you a little high, but only for like 20 hours. It's a slight high. No, I'm kidding. It's just vape juice. I just thought it'd be like when the Olympics start. And
Hey, look, if it's rituals are important.
Yeah, thank you.
And if this is a ritual that's important
Okay,
to you,
so
then I'm happy to comply.
Rip it fat.
Okay, so I just breathe
Yeah,
in.
breathe in. I got the button. Fat rips. Nice. You're good. Yeah, you got it. Damn, you know how to keep it in. That's how it plays. Well done. I would clap, but this thing will collapse.
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me.